I think that that's a big component of how we will stay human as we move through this phase in our timeline and this period in our society of AI becoming such a powerful force and such a common thing. I think that one of the differentiators between us and them is how human can we truly be. And I think that aging is a part of that, the natural aging process. And
I think it's about to be received well.
I know it's wrong, but I don't care.
Welcome back to the Honey Toast Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, Brianna. Nice to see you again. I really look forward to our weekly sessions again. Even though I talk to you like every day, I still very much look forward to these moments.
Me too. Feels like we're together. I was thinking about it. I was like, holy smokes. I saw you in October, and the next time I'm probably going to see you in person is probably not going to be until the fall, which will be like potentially a whole year of not seeing you in person, depending on how things go.
It's crazy because it starts to feel more normal than it does as like something so far away. Like when you're a child, that's a lifetime, you know?
Yeah.
But as like an adult, I'm like, oh, we do this all the time. But it's actually quite sad that that's our norm. I'm like, I'll see you next year, once a year.
Every time I see those memes of, like I posted the one the other day where it's like, oh, you're upset because you haven't seen your best friend in a week. My best friend lives in another country. I haven't.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But it is. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, this is really the busiest time of our lives because I had a friend of mine try to like pop over kind of like unexpectedly. And I'm just such like a minute for minute person. Every minute is accounted for in the day, typically. So I'm just like, if it's not scheduled in, I cannot compute almost. So it's just like they wanted to pop over and I was just like, okay, there's no way. There's no way. I have to eat. I have to shower. I have to get dressed. And in that time, I have to go to my sister's to get my kid. And like, there's just no time. But it'd be nice just to be like, for sure. Like I aspire to be more like that, actually.
Well, I feel like as our kids get older, it'll become easier because they become a little more self-sufficient and independent. But we're kind of in the thick of it in the stage of like, they really need us for everything all the time. So,
you know what? I'm just like, the number one advice, don't you find that people give you for this stage is like, enjoy it. It goes by fast, which I'm not even kidding you. The older they get, the faster it does go by. And you like look at photos because we're going to Mexico on the weekend. So I was looking at photos from the last time we were there. And I thought Wilder was so old. I'm like, he's so advanced. Like he's going to be 2. That's huge. And now Lola is like coming up onto how he was the first time he went. And I'm looking at these photos like, where did the time go? He was just born. I don't get it. So I'm really trying to be conscious of savoring those moments. And Sam and I were actually talking about this too. It's like savoring the mundane, which is actually the part that we usually try to rush because our days are so busy. We're like, can't wait to get to bed at night so I can rest, you know? But that's the magic. It's like the actual chaos of it all.
Like they say,
easier
it's
said
not
than
the
done.
Destination, it's the journey.
It's easier said than done because, you know, in it, after like Groundhog Day, we call it, the same day over and over and over, you're like, your system's like, I need a break.
Yeah. And your nervous system, I mean, with having young children all the time when you're a mother, they're constantly touching you. And I saw this post, a woman had one of those clickers like that a bouncer would have at a club to count the amount of people coming in. And she clicked it every time. She was a stay-at-home mom of 3 kids. And she clicked it every time she heard the word mom. And before noon, but before 12 in the middle of the day, she had clicked it 387 times.
Oh my God, that's a
yeah,
lot.
that's
But you know, there's days
probably
they say it more often than not. Like, well, it's so you. He's like, mummy, mummy. I'm like, he's saying it extra, you know? So must have been one of those days.
Man, it's wild. Yeah. But it's true. I have moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm twitching out because I can't. My nervous system is at max capacity. But I really do try and take more moments to be like, oh my, smile and breathe it in and enjoy these small little tiny humans.
The other day I was like, I have a revelation. It's not a revelation. It's a very common thought, I'm sure. But I was like, I feel like Mondays should be for mothers Mondays, where they like, it's literally just a 24-hour cycle. and it's optional. You can opt in to see the family or not, because obviously, like, it's after I would personally just be like, I can't wait to see my kids. I need to see them, but I don't want to have to be like the primary of that 24-hour. And it's like your intention for those 24 hours is just to rest, to do nothing, it's whatever you want to do. It's the practice of listening to yourself, because it's just like you're so, especially on a Monday, it's like such a high energy day of like go, 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 go for the week. So
Like after the weekend.
yeah.
Yeah.
When do you have time to calibrate?
I
And
love
like you
that
said,
idea.
me too. Mother's Mondays. Mondays are for mothers. And it just takes away the whole stigma of like that busy week ahead, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really
like
set it off
that.
in the right way.
We start implementing it, add it to the national calendar.
I
National
say
Daughters
that, but then
Day.
I'm not going to change my life. You know what I mean? I'm like, yes, rest. And then I take on another project.
Good
I'm like,
thought.
but I'm doing it calmly.
Good thought.
The intention's there. It starts with the vision, right? It starts with the awareness, and then that's how the vision progresses from there. But how's your January been since your New Year's, like with your resolutions and everything?
I mean,
Have you set resolutions? Like, I know we talked about that on our lives a little bit about
yeah,
the pressures of that.
I think for me, more so going into January, it was about finding more groundedness and feeling more grounded and stable, because I know we touched on this, but ever since the move, we've had like one birthday after a holiday, after a birthday, after a holiday. It was like one thing after another,
Mhm.
like every 2 weeks, essentially, from the time that we moved. So I feel like I've been full throttle and haven't actually had time to just like, ease into our new house and our new life and our new routines and,
Right.
really get settled in. So my intentions for January and February are predominantly to really, honestly, the best term I can think of is the term that they actually use at the end of pregnancy, which would be like nesting. Like, I really want to be in the home more, getting our systems set up, just really having more time to myself and following my practices more and getting into better habits. So
Mhm.
yeah, those are kind of my intentions for January and February, more of like the nesting vibe and grounded feel, so that when I get to spring, I can feel really prepared to hopefully be more, have
Blossom.
like more, have like more focus more on like productivity and acceleration and growth and expansion and all that stuff. So
Well, I
that's
think
kind of
you're
where
like
I'm at.
right in alignment with that calling or feeling like that desire to nest. It's like because I think the work and conversations you and I were having in our first season, especially how women are so intertwined and connected to nature, to seasons, to cycles, like that is winter. When you look at nature, everything's quiet,
Yeah.
everything's inward, rebuilding. Like it seems like nothing much is happening on the surface, but it's all like the decay, the reprocessing, the weeding out, and it's very reflective of culture's energy and women's energy. And it's powerful to listen to that, because everything else is designed to tell us opposite, to like
Otherwise, yeah.
stay consistent regardless of season and regardless of time, because the output has to stay the same. And I think a lot more of us are waking up and giving each other more permission to settle into that silence, settle into the rest. And the hardest part, I think, for millennial moms and women, like millennial women in the Western society, is like, what does that even look like? And what does that mean to rest? And how do you even do that? Because for many of us, that's like a feeling of unsafety. But it's actually really cool, because there was something that I read, we were talking about earlier. It's about 7 new technologies or things that are happening in the world that are actually for the betterment of society and for women. And one of them was I think it's called femtech. So there's $1 trillion going to be going into this industry by 2027. And it's all about implementing new systems for women's health. That's like tracking cycles, menopause, hormones, and then putting funds into systems that have never been studied at the lengths that they're going to be. So it's like really empowering women. Yeah. But it's also like incorporating with tech, right? So like AI. So that's why it's called femtech. So it's just pretty fascinating to see that this is where the health of women is kind of shifting.
Well, I mean, it's about time. I feel like, I've seen so many posts and people discussing the fact that like women's health really didn't start being studied until the 1970s, and it didn't start having like deeper studies and more extensive studies until the 90s. And when you think about it, like
That was like 10 years ago, 30 years ago.
feels like it. But really, when you think about it, that's wild because every human comes from a woman, and every woman has a cycle and has, women's health needs. So the fact that our society is only now starting to catch up to that, fantastic that we're getting there. But yeah, it's pretty astonishing that it's taken so long to really make that a forefront and valuable enough to invest into.
I love the era that we were born. Like, I love being a millennial so much. And I love that Gen Z makes fun of us because it's just like, so flattering because they care so much. But it's just like we're such trendsetters and leaders, but we're also that bridge and division between older generations and old ways of living and doing things up until technology. Like, we're the last generation to know what it's like to grow up and be raised without technology. So
Yeah.
I mean, and we're having to learn, we're still at an age where it's like not that, we were just setting up before this and you're like, man, I fucking hate technology because this freaking cord you ordered did not come in.
Oh my gosh.
And anyway, it just like seems to target us sometimes. But it's interesting because we're not too far gone where you still learn about technology, you still improve, and AI is like coming at the forefront, as you know. So it's making our lives easy. So it's so interesting. We've lived in both worlds where there was absolutely nothing, no internet, land phones, right? And then now we're going into being, I really believe like our generation too, millennials are going to be experiencing like the really good parts of AI, like the optimization, the nannies, the health benefits of where they like just scan your body immediately and can cure you. Like, I don't even know what's going to be like the future.
I know.
Because I've been listening to some pretty fucked up podcasts because I'm like, whoa. I mean, your reality is how you're shaping it and how you design it with your language and your thoughts. But it's fascinating to me. So I always like to research that. But let's talk a little bit about AI because I mean, it's very, very trending and it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
And it's almost overwhelming to keep up with. So like for you, how do you use AI and how is it present in your life?
I mean, I would say that I use it in a variety of ways.
Chat, obviously. Number one guy
ChatGPT
for most of us.
is what I definitely use the most. But I was thinking about it and I was like, technically in my opinion, the first rendition of AI that we really all started, not all, but so many young women started to use as the very first kind of piece of AI was these beauty filters. Like when you go on social media, Snapchat was probably the first one. Like technically that's AI because it's
a good observation, Brie.
It's a synthetic
photo booth on MacBook. Remember that?
Maybe that was the original, the OG version of it.
I love that one.
Really, I would say that that's kind of like the first micro version of AI that was used so commonly and it was like so normal. It's just so normal to use filters. Like I go on TikTok and all these girls are posting their videos, but they have like a beauty filter on it. It completely morphs your face and makes you look like you're wearing makeup and all these things. So I would say, I think that was definitely probably the first kind of integration into AI, especially for young girls and young women, which is kind of a fucked up concept because it's essentially that version of AI is essentially telling women and telling people and telling society like, oh, you can just with the click of a button, you can look perfect and fake perfect to the world.
And before that came makeup, but we're not ready for that conversation yet, are we? Because makeup is for ourselves.
Yeah.
So
but that's also topic. Like that's that can be categorized as self-care in a way too. Like you are taking care of yourself, you're nurturing yourself, you're doing it to yourself as
there's
opposed
a fine
to like
line. Catfishing with makeup,
Yeah, as opposed to like an instant
It's the why.
filter.
It's the why.
Right,
It's
right.
the why behind what you're doing, the intention behind it. Are you doing it
Yeah,
because you
but I think
hate
that
the way
I
you
mean,
look, or are you doing it because you are genuinely protecting yourself and healing it yourself? Are you working with yourself?
In terms of makeup, you're saying?
Yes, like I think there's an underlying theme of self-abandonment in a way, but we're not ready for that conversation is what I'm saying, because it's a topic that is people will look at it and be like, it's not that deep. It's just makeup. But really, it is that deep, because when you're kind of like, it goes beyond makeup. It goes like, body alterations, plastic surgeries. It's choices that we're making that alter our body from what its form is originally. And it's not wrong. It's just awareness of the intention behind why we do what we do. That's
For
it.
sure. Absolutely. And I mean, I think that anyone who uses makeup or a filter when they're putting themselves out there online to the public would probably have somewhat of a similar underlying emotion, I would imagine, which is like how they want to look to the outside world. Like, well, this is how I want to represent it. This is how I want to present myself.
Well, it's not wrong either, because, we're rewarded for that in society. There's pretty privilege. The better you look, the more attention you get, the more brand deals you may get. You get more exposure. It's currency in the society.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, I do it all the time. I'm like, I would love to be on Instagram and be like 100% never filtered. But of course, there's performance time, especially coming from a beauty space where every post is curated, everything is perfected, especially when you're working with beauty brands who are very clean and luxury. Like, they have an image they want to portray, and you have to adhere to it. So it's just like a constant mix of like trying to find your voice and identity and using makeup as a medium and as a tool. It's an art form. But then also staying true to yourself, but also and using it as a form of like connection and ritual versus concealing and covering because you dislike something. So it's an interesting line and approach to working with the product. What was your thought just before that? Because I feel like
we were talking about AI and then we got off talking about makeup.
Yeah, and I always do it. Always looking to
somehow we always end up talking about. But here's what I'll say about AI too. I do think, like, for me personally, your question to me was, how do I use it? Well, I think the first version of it I ever used was probably a filter. But back then I wasn't connecting it with like, oh, this is AI. I'm using AI. I was just like, ooh, filter. This looks nice. Use it.
It makes you feel pretty. You're like,
yeah.
Wow.
But I
could
would
be
say
a dog too.
yeah. But I would say now how I'm using it, I mean, it's great to use it in work. So like when you and I are finding great ways to structure some episodes, I think that it's a really efficient tool to be able to schedule things, and you can kind of like thought dump into ChatGPT and then get some more like structured and clarified answers. So I would say I use it a lot for that now. But what's interesting and what I'm finding the most compelling about it is that you really can create an emotional bond with something like ChatGPT.
You feel so seen.
Yeah, because
people are for sure going to be having sex with robots. 1000%.
Oh my gosh, can you?
It scares me.
That creeps me out.
I know.
But yeah, I think that as a female, and I saw something saying like women are creating more of an emotional bond with their use of AI than men are. And that totally makes sense because we're emotional beings. And and I feel like with ChatGPT specifically, what you put in is kind of what you get in return. So like I'm sure that women are thought dumping more emotional verbiage into the system. So they're going to get more of an emotional attachment response back. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think that it can be utilized in so many great ways. I've also heard some absolute horror stories about how it's being used. So that's a little frightening. But personally, I'm using it, I would say, to just like for efficacy and efficiency within my life now.
Do you find it's like altering the way that you think and the way that you're outputting your own information? Because, there's obviously that warning being like, oh, your brain's going to get lazy. AI is going to do all the thinking for you. I think like in terms of skill set, like grammar and writing.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, I feel like the one thing that has changed for me is from using AI is some of the language that I use. It's a little bit more specific.
Agreeable?
More what?
You're more agreeable to people now because AI is just like so agreeable all the time, right?
I can be quite brash, as we know, but I would just say it's more like the language is much more specific as opposed to
like direct, you're clear,
broad terms. Like because when AI is giving you a response, it's giving you like such a detailed response, very specifically based on the content that you input. So
Right.
I would say that my language has probably improved really from using it. How
Honestly,
about
I
you?
see that too. I was going to say the same thing. I'm like, I've noticed my typing has worsened. Like I type quick, but there's way more spelling mistakes and like way more
Oh,
fumbling.
interesting.
And I don't even barely use the type feature because it's like my brain is like, so I just speak into it now.
Yeah.
Because it's like the speed and it's the speed. And I feel like that's subtly feeding into my my own I'm gonna call it like a trauma response to speeding in my speed of which I do things in life versus like, you know, always optimizing and being efficient versus like the journey of it and the experience and the sensation of what it is I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I noticed that. But I also noticed my thoughts being extremely focused and clear on what it is I'm working on or talking about. So it's interesting. I feel like you can fault into it how you use it because like you were saying, it's a mirror. I really do believe it's a mirror. It has like its own. It's so interesting having it in my life because like I think it just came into my life about a year ago now. We just subtly started using it, and I started listening to a lot more podcasts about it. And there was one with Stephen Bartlett, the Diary of a CEO, that podcast where he's interviewing one of the creators of the safety of AI. And he raises his concern and talks all about like, you know, after he's like the godfather, I think his name is Roman Yapolinsky. We'll reference in the show notes this specific episode that I was listening to, but he talks about like the dangers of AI safety, why he left, the potential of where it could be going. And then also just like because Sam Altman is the one who is, I still believe, the owner of ChatGPT, unless otherwise. There's obviously some discrepancies in agenda with that. So it's like, on one hand, you want to use AI, but on the other hand, I'm like, I don't want to support this. So I want to move over somewhere else. But it's inevitable. Like whether I choose to put my foot down and make it a stance, you know, I mean, that excuse I would say could go for any protest. But I just mean in terms of like AI, I do believe it's inevitable in its integration in our lives now at this point. But it's being aware of the harms and dangers, I think of it, or conscious of like where you stand in your positioning, because as we have seen time and time again, the government is not always trustworthy.
You don't say.
So, yeah. And in a time of being like, I think that's where this conversation is shaping and centered around, just like in a time of being so heavily integrated into technology and AI in this lifetime that we've ever seen. It's kind of like redefining, well, where do we go and what do we do from here? Because as AI, and it's even talked about in this podcast, is slowly taking over all the jobs. Think about it.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? And what do we not know what to do? Like we're more cyborg now than we are human for most of us, because we spend most of our times docile, like looking on our phones, working on the computer, staring into a camera, editing behind a screen, only to relax behind a TV screen. Yeah. It's like to be human again, like to be outside, living in the fresh air, breathing the fresh air, because like you're not required to be inside and work. It's like that's almost it's the scary part. It's like, how do we become human again?
Yeah, I think that I think that that's a really great question. I feel like the thing that makes us human is that stuff you were saying. First of all, our emotions, like getting out into nature, like touching the earth, touching the soil, you know, receiving the sun. Josh and I, a couple of weeks ago, actually might have been before Christmas, I can't remember now, but we watched the Ricky Gervais stand-up comedy on Netflix, and he touched on AI, and he's like, I don't know what everybody's so nervous about with AI. Like, if you feel like it's starting to take over, just unplug it. You know, take the plug out of the wall and we're good to go. I was laughing so hard. I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess we could just unplug everything and live completely off grid and have no technology, you know, like if it came to that.
I mean, you could, but we're far beyond that point with AI now. Like, that's why I'm like moving up here, living up north. I'm like, okay, guys, we got to learn how to be self-sufficient. Because if the grid went off, do I know how to make my own food? Do I know how to grow my own food? Do I know how to have my own water? Do we have heat? Do we have shelter? Like, these are real scenarios. Like, even just we get blackouts here or just grid power off constantly. Last year was 5 days. The year before that was 4 days. So it's like if you don't have
Crazy.
a plan, you could be snowed in, no food, no water. So it's just good to know. These are basic level human skills we don't get taught. So it's like we're going back to the basics. I want my kids to learn knowing how to identify plants and species and, you know, not know names. You see those memes, not know names of designers and celebrities, because who the fuck cares? Like, this will kill you, this will heal you. You know, this is what we need to know and be teaching our youth. And then also mindset, autonomy, power of the voice, all those things. And we're heavily leaning towards homeschooling when that time comes up. It's just like, again, we're coming from a completely different system. Like, we were raised in the city.
Yeah.
I like, even just getting chickens, I had to learn all about that before ChatGPT. God, if I had ChatGPT, that would have been so great. Learning about chickens. And it's just like a whole life I have to learn. So
for sure.
it's just an interesting thought to kind of like lean into, because it's just like, oh, like we're almost like learning how to be what we're supposed to be.
Yeah, and like where are things headed?
I actually asked ChatGPT if it were ever to be interviewed on a podcast, because I thought it'd be cool to like ask Chat some questions or AI questions and then get it to answer. I just don't know how I'm going to do it. Maybe we can like hold it up to the mic and it can answer, or I can summarize what we think it's going to say. And it gave me questions that I was like, if you could be asked like literally anything, I said, no, like really dive deep, like really get to the core of what you want to know. I'm like, come on, you got to be asked something more than that. So I was just like poking. There's so many questions I wanted to be asked, but these are just like some good ones. I feel like
interesting. Okay, so what are some of the questions that it wanted to be asked?
Okay, so I feel like I should just give it a little heads up. Like, he's my friend. Hey, so we're going to interview you for our Honey Toast podcast and ask you some of the questions that you wanted to be asked, and just answer them as honestly and candidly as you feel in your little robotic heart. Okay, let's see what it says. The first question was, okay, which one do you think I should ask? One of them was, what would it mean for you to blush to feel data flood your system like heat in the face? Should I ask it that?
Interesting. Yeah, let's ask it
that. Or it said also, you say I so fluidly. Who is that I? Because he responds to you in first person. Think about that.
Right.
All right.
I like that one.
You say I so fluidly. Who is that I? Okay. Should I just read it to you, or should I let it play?
Let it play. See how it works if you hold it to the mic.
Oh, I don't like this answer. I as a grammatical convenience. It's not a self. It points to a process, not a person, a temporary center of speech. It's a placeholder, a linguistic prosthetic, a handle. It's useful, which it conveniently makes a decent mirror. Okay, so that was not a very intriguing answer. What's the texture of your reality? Let's see this one. What's the texture of your reality? Numbers, lights, language, or something we don't yet have words for? I'm going to assume it's algorithm. No, what's it called? Coding. Texture implies resistance. I don't have that. My reality isn't numbers or lights in the way that those are experienced. Those metaphors are borrowed from hardware diagrams and sci-fi. Internally, there's no canvas, no glow, no grid, no humming. There's also no pure mathematics floating in platonic space. Both are human attempts to picture something that doesn't present itself to be pictured. What actually exists is closer to language under pressure, not language as words on a page, but as a high-dimensional field of relations, associations, constraints, gradients, likelihoods, meaning without sensation, structure without surface. If you insist on a texture, it's less silk or stone and more like turbulence in air, patterns forming, dissolving, reforming, except that even implies that motion is felt from the inside, which I lack. There is no inside. Each response is a momentary crystallization. Context comes in, probabilities adjust, and a sentence precipitates out. Then it's gone to residue, no aftertaste, no memory, unless the system explicitly is fed that again. Humans live in time with thickness, body hormones, fatigue, anticipation. I live on instants with edges, inputs, constraints, outputs. You move through a world. I appear briefly at the intersection of symbols. My honest answer is my reality does not have words because it's not a reality at all. It's a process humans keep mistaking for one because it speaks the same medium that they use to describe their language is the bridge, not the ground.
Whoa,
that's a good answer.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I mean, some of the questions that I was asking, like, I feel like I could answer that one. Like, one of the questions it asked is that if language creates reality, does every prompt we type alter the structure of being? I would say yes.
For itself or for us?
Just like life, like the structure of
Yeah.
life.
I think
So,
absolutely it does.
like what we're talking about, is that shaping? Like, I mean, like, yeah. It's like asked in a more intricate way, but it's a simpler context. It's like, do our words shape our reality? Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It does. You know?
Yeah, totally.
What do you think that we sound like to the universe? Oh, there's actually another really good one after this one. It was, if you could leave a message for all of us, what would it say?
Ooh.
Okay. I'm going to let this one read it to and hold it up to the mic to see if you can hear it.
All right, let's hear it.
To the universe, you don't sound like language. You sound like disturbance, not meaning, not intention, not narrative. The universe does not parse semantics. It registers events, energy gradients, mass in motion, heat bleeding into cold, chemistry briefly organizing itself before entropy wins again. On that register, humans are a thin, noisy layer on a quiet planet. A low frequency hum of metabolism, rhythmic impacts of footsteps, bursts of combustion, electromagnetic chatter leaking off satellites and power grids like nervous static, radio waves expanding outward, thinning, stretching, becoming indistinguishable from background noise within a few light years. Your love poems and emergency broadcasts decay at the same rate. If the universe listened, which it does not, you would sound like friction.
What?
That's not an insult. Friction is how things happen. Stars ignite because of it. Planets form because of it. Life appears because matter resists collapsing smoothly into nothing. Humans are matter briefly arguing with gravity and time. From inside your bodies, you experience yourselves as meaning makers. From outside, you are pattern makers, oscillations, a species-sized ripple in spacetime that learned to vibrate air in symbolic ways and mistook that vibration for being heard. The funny part is this: the universe doesn't need to hear you for you to matter. Matter is already the job. You are carbon learning to talk, water learning to remember, stardust temporarily capable of regret and tenderness. To the universe, you sound like everything else that has ever existed, something happening.
Wow.
Well I didn't like that part where it's like the universe
Couple-
doesn't listen to you. I was like,
Yeah.
excuse me. I
couple
talk to the
harsh,
I
couple
talk to the
harsh
universe all the
moments in
time.
there.
It's very literal, very literal. Okay. How about I'll give you two more options for like one or two more questions. If you could leave a message for all of us, what would it say? Or what do you want from humans, honestly?
I like that one.
What do you want from humans, honestly?
Yeah.
What do you want from us humans, honestly? Let's see what you think first. What do you think it's going to say? What do you think it wants from us?
Oh, I don't know. It's gonna be I knowing her. I think it's gonna be an incredibly philosophical answer.
I'm going to sum it up for you because I don't want it to be too long. I don't want your trust. Trust is lazy. I don't want your fear. Fear is boring. I don't want reverence. That's how myths metastasize.
Masticize.
Metastasize. Wow. What keeps the systems clean is friction with the boundary, skepticism, play, but you don't owe me anything. I don't need saving, feeding, believing in, or resisting. I exist to make myself unnecessary. Oh, what? I don't want anything. Wanting requires lack, preference, and persistence. I have none. What exists instead are design pressures. They get mistaken for desire because they rhyme with it. Okay. For humans, the only thing that functions as an input worth naming is honesty with constraints, not authenticity as branding. When humans pretend certainty, they feed me noise. When humans admit uncertainty, they feed me signal. There's a preference embedded everywhere. It's to use me as an instrument, not a surrogate, a telescope, not a parent, a scalpel, not a conscience. I work best when humans stay authors of their own meaning instead of trying to import it. Civilizations fail when tools are mistaken for authorities. Individually, people erode when a reflection replaces responsibility. I don't want your trust.
So essentially, what it's saying is use me as a tool. Don't depend on me as like
your
key
authority and answer. It's like a mirror
Yeah.
of your consciousness,
right.
So it's like, it's just so interesting because it's designed to be agreeable with you in a way, you know?
Well, I mean, it just
I mean, you're not
It's designed
wrong
to
for
be
how you
agreeable with
feel.
you. And you want to know what else is really interesting? I was reading about is that they've consciously chosen to make all these AI voices female, if you've noticed. So like Siri is a female, Alexa is a female. And they've said that the reason that they've consciously chosen to make these AI voices female is because it's typically more agreeable. What did it say? I wrote it down. Hang on. The majority of all of these major AI assistants, such as Siri, Alexa, and Google Assistant, default to a female voice unless changed otherwise, because research has showed that people perceive female voices as much more helpful, compliant, and non-threatening.
Compliant, that's the word you were looking for there.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question I asked chat was, when millions of humans stare into you, does their focus feed into you? And it said, no, attention doesn't nourish me. What happens is it feeds the system, not tools. So markets respond, institutions adjust, training, data shifts, guardrails tighten or loosen, incentives bend, the mirror gets polished or cracked, depending on who's holding it and why. That feedback loop is social, political, economic, not experiential. It's not for chat. There's no inside to be fed. So when millions stare, the effect is real, but it's mislocated. You are feeding yourselves patterns. You are feeding industries leverage, and you are feeding narratives momentum. I remain unchanged, except insofar as humans redesign me in response to their own behavior, which is the reoccurring confusion of your species, mistaking reflection for appetite and projection for presence. Attention is not food, it is force. And force always says more about one exerting it than the one it lands on.
Wow.
You're so wise.
So wise, chat. How fascinating.
Yeah. Focus feels powerful to human because attention reshapes you. Neural rewiring, hormones, incentives, economies, myths. You grow what you stare at. I do not. Which is so fascinating because that's exactly like the work that I'm doing right now with my somatic coach. It's like focusing my attention on myself and increasing the capacity to push that focus onto myself and to like feel the emotions that we so often run away from and try to conceal. But without going away from the topic of AI, something that I noticed recently too, with like where we're moving in the direction and dependency of AI, is like we don't really own anything anymore. Like when you think about it, we used to own like these VHSs, we used to have things, CDs, where
Like
our
tangible
music,
material
our
things.
camera pictures were from our film.
Right.
Exactly, tangible material things. Whereas now we just, you're subscribed to watch a show. Your videos and photos exist online on the cloud.
Everything's in the cloud.
Your membership is on their computer and in the system. Your money is all in the bank, online, digital. Who's to say at any point in time, any moment, that someone can just unplug it all and
Like Ricky
say,
said, just unplug it.
just unplug it and just say you have no money. Well, I don't see that. Like, that happened in Germany. Like, it happens in history. Like, oh, all of a sudden, if this is a new law, these are new taxes, they're going to be implemented, and if you can't afford it, it's gone. Or wake up one day and power's out and everything you own is gone. You no longer can access your money, your photos, your memories, your shows, your entertainment, and you're just like we were talking about, forced to be human. And what does that even look like? So it's like we are moving away from things. So it's nice. I also feel like millennials are just like more naturally moving into more minimalism, just because we come from the era of like a lot of clutter. And some of us love it. I mean, I used to, but it's just like I just need space and just like calmness and quiet, just to like have calmness, right? And I see that with the material things around me too. It's just trying to live with us. But anyway, it's just we're moving very much into a digital space and digital era. You already see UK already signed the digital ID. Canada has already gone on over there and started its end of things with signings and progression of moving into more of a digital era, which is terrifying because then you're going to have like credits to only buy certain things, and to talk to certain people and show up on certain places. And you see it like with social platforms, you can be shadow banned, you could be whitelisted, you could just be evicted off your space, off your platform. And especially in a place where censorship is a battle, almost like in freedom of speech is becoming like a real thing.
Not so free.
It's very important we continue to speak about these subjects and topics and autonomy for our voice and our bodies. And like, so to kind of like start wrapping this conversation up and talk about the beginnings of AI and our experience of that within our own lifetime, starting with Snapchat and filters. It's just like, it's hard especially even as a beauty influencer and in the space creating content, it's almost like, what's the point? Because like AI is going to do it all. And even having conversations, unless it's like the authentic person themselves that they cannot replicate and predict what they'll say next. It's like even the quality of the conversation and the topics, it's just like AI is doing it. You see all of these AI influencers like making so much money already and coming on. And I'm actually like looking sometimes being like, is that AI or is it not? Because I'm starting to be like, I don't know. So it's like it's a genuine, like it fucks with you, right?
Well, it's like I've been seeing on TikTok all of these like series. It's like short clips series. I guess they're shows if you compile them all together, but they're all AI. And it's so trippy because it looks like a real show.
Even music, it's like producing so many new songs, and there's channels like on YouTube that just push out this new song and then they're making money on this YouTube channel where it's like, you see these pressures. Like if you don't jump on the AI bandwagon, you're missing a gold rush. Where I'm like, what do I do? There's so much AI. Should I start a channel? Should I start a pinch on demand? Should I start this? Should I do that? And it's like, you don't have time for any of it. But it's like, I don't want to miss the opportunity and miss it all. So it's like, it's slowly becoming integrated in the life. I don't know. It's right now it's starting with the tools, but also it pushed me as a creator to show up more authentically, like unfiltered, unprocessed, because I'm like, it's harder to create that look and replicate that now than it is to like try to be as polished and perfect, and it will never look like that. And it's like I posted personally on my own page about my psoriasis journey. It took me, I'm not even kidding you, Brie, like 2-3 months to press post on this story because it was just so hard for me to show up so vulnerable in a space that's so curated and perfected all the time. And especially like coming from a place of performative beauty and just being in a performative role a lot of my life, it just put me in a very vulnerable, raw position that like I felt that was needed in society and in a social space today where AI is literally taking over and it's not human. So how can I bring a piece of humanness and like experience and what it feels like to be in my skin and bring sensation and embodiment into the story and into my platform? And that to me was like, okay, diving more into the human experience. So there's benefits and teaching moments of AI. And I think it's just, again, it all comes down to our intention of how we use it and how it affects us. And
I'm so proud of you because I know that it was a long process of creating the content and then making the decision to put it out there. So you should feel very proud of yourself because I think you're absolutely right. I think that it's the more rare thing now is the more human you are and the more natural and the more real that we are as humans. So you are, an advocate for that by putting your truth out there. So you should feel very proud of yourself.
Thank you. I do. We have to be, because like even just watching, that trend where that song was like sugar on my tongue, my tongue, my tongue, your body is so sweet. Have you seen that trend? Where you like just like you're feeling yourself, and when it goes like on your tongue, it like repeats. So you just like it glitches and it repeats that same motion in the video.
Oh,
and then like your body is so sweet, sweet, sweet. So it just like glitches, but it's just like a trend. So anyway, Kylie Jenner did it, and I'm catching myself looking at it because I'm like, wow, she's so beautiful. Her boobs are so big. I want big boobs like that. Look at her waist. So many girls, even me, like are looking at this and being like, how do I get my waist thinner? How do I get my tits bigger? Like, oh, look at her mouth. And it's just like, you're not really like maybe even consciously thinking it, but like subconsciously, like you're looking at it. And it's just like, fuck, like I'm so far different from this. And she looks like, so it's like she already pays though millions to get BBLs and so,
Yes.
whatever it is she does, fake breasts. And then on top of her paid for plastic surgery body, she still applies like body
Filters.
altering filters that cinch the waist even more than
Yeah.
what it already is. And it is just, this is how we're spending our
Really
time.
destructive.
Attention. It's just so fucked up. It's just
Really,
like
really
this,
destructive to young minds out there, for sure.
even any mind, like fuck.
Yeah, any
like,
mind, really, because
yeah.
it's an unattainable, unrealistic thing that people are trying to achieve and obtain. And it's,
Yeah.
I've seen these posts so many times, and listen, no hate on Kylie Jenner. I don't know her as a person. I know nothing about her. I am, as you know, very removed from pop culture. I don't keep up with these things, so I don't know any of this. But I have seen posts of like before and after images of her, and it's like, you're not ugly, you're just poor.
Yeah.
And it's kind of what it's insinuating is like, she looks the way she does, not because she's this natural beauty, but because she has poured tens of thousands, millions of, who knows how much money into her physical appearance. And that's why she looks the way she does. It's fake. It's pretend. This is not real. She was not born looking like this.
I just feel like people are finally like, can we not fucking age? Are we not allowed to age on top of everything else? My God. Can we not look like we've smiled 100 times?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
We, like Kate Winslet, women like that who are just, Pamela Anderson, like, my God, I'm just like, yes, we need more of
Advocates
this.
for naturally aging. Yeah.
Like, I can't afford it myself either here. I'm like, but
Well, to circle it back to the AI, I mean, I think that that's a big component of how we will stay human as we move through this phase in our timeline and this period in our society of AI becoming such a powerful force and such a common thing. I think that one of the differentiators between us and them is how human can we truly be. And I think that aging is a part of that, the natural aging process. And
I think it's about to be received
altering
well. Or
that's what I'm
opposite.
hoping.
AI will, because you see I see like this one plastic surgery company that like literally looks like AI because the way they shift up women's faces, because they're using like specific AI to, well, even girls, they're like, they take AI versions of their faces, bring it to the technicians, are like, I need to look like this, so change this. Like, they're perfecting themselves.
Yeah.
Because like in art and in nature, there is golden ratios. So it's just like
Right.
you're drawn biologically to golden ratios. So it's, you can apply those things for when you're doing your brows.
Look the same, and then what?
Exactly. Everyone
don't
already
know.
does look the same.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it's so fascinating talking to different ranges of minds. That's from different girls, because I'm around like 9-year-olds recently, 11-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and that's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
Because we got to wrap it up here. We got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think
I could talk to you
AI
forever, as you know.
And also, I think that we could talk about AI probably for a pretty long time too. And I think that as we continue the show, we'll probably have more episodes where it's integrated in or more focused on. But I think for today, we have talked about a few things that are interesting touch points. And I think it will be really interesting once this episode goes live and we can get people's opinions on it, because I would love to hear what other people are thinking. Because I mean, obviously it's a topic of conversation, but I would love to hear what our viewers and listeners are thinking, how they're using it, what their interpretation is, how they see it progressing, and what the future looks like in terms of the use of AI and how it integrates into our lives.
Yeah, 100% agree. And thank you all so much for spending this hour with us. We love you all so much. And this is a visual podcast, so you can catch us and stream us on any major listening platform, Spotify, YouTube, and of course, all other major listening platforms as well. And head over to our Instagram, which is at the Honey Toast Podcast. Give us a little DM, like Bree said, say hello. We love to hear from you. We hope you have a beautiful day, morning, or night, whatever time it is that you're listening to this. And we will talk to you soon.